Both Labour and the Conservatives got a bruising at the local elections. The main topic of conversation on the Sunday morning round was the expedient rise of reform. So, what do the two main parties really think? Well, in all honesty, they kind of actually agree, probably for the first time, that reform should now face proper scrutiny. And interviews with both Labour and Conservatives, they've called out Nigel Farage for being a populist and promising shiny baubles for one side of the electorate and then promising the exact same shiny baubles for the other side of the electorate, just to win some votes. This is pointed out that although it's great for a short-time victory, it's not very sustainable in the long term. I think both parties are actually sending the interviewers a kind of a message, saying that they also need to be held to account in the same way the two main parties are. Well, mostly are. And promises that were made at the doorstep, as pointed out by Nigel Hudson of the Tories, that immigration and net zero have nothing to do with local government, but this is what they promised them just to win their vote, which they've now got. They have to deliver. So here are some of their thoughts on reform. Let me know yours down in the comments below.
Well, I think reform is definitely a real threat and one that we take seriously. I think there's clearly, on the right of British politics, a realignment taking place. It's not yet clear whether at the next general election it will be Reform or the Conservatives that are Labour's main challengers. But we've got to take that threat seriously. And in that spirit, I think Reform does deserve more airtime and scrutiny of their policies, because you mentioned the issues that Nigel Farage wanted to fight the local elections on. There were other issues like the NHS where he wilts in the sunlight of scrutiny, whether it will be Reform or the Conservatives that emerge as the main threat. I don't have a horse in that race, but like Alien versus Predator, you don't really want either one to win, but one of them will emerge as the main challenger to Labour at the next general election.
Nigel Farage is a force in British politics. He is an incredibly good politician in many ways, but people do know him and he's a known quantity. But the one thing about Nigel Farage is, and we're seeing this again and again and again, he is a populist. He is increasingly saying everything that anybody wants to hear. He's trying to be all things to all men. We are re-establishing ourselves as a credible alternative government based on sound Conservative principles and values. Nigel Farage is saying everything to anybody in order to get their votes at the moment, and it's an incredibly effective political strategy in the short term. But you cannot be a party of going around the world trying to get right-wing votes promising low tax, and then to other people saying you want, nationalisations and high spending. That's not credible long term. They can't just announce things now. They can't just say things. They can't just put a list of all the issues and challenges. They're now going to be responsible for delivering in local government.
Call them out for what they stand for.
Nigel Farage, though, interestingly, once said he took his inspiration from the Liberal Democrats with your local branches, local councils, local progress. If he's taken inspiration from you, doesn't sound like it, but I'll try my luck. Would you take any inspiration from him?
Listen, he clearly doesn't share our values. I don't share his. And, I think what's going to happen now they've actually got to run councils, we will see what they do. In the election, Nigel Farage said they should cut funding for special education needs and disabled children and young people. I think families across the country will be really worried by that. When polls closed, he said he wanted to ape Donald Trump and Elon Musk's policies in town halls. And look at some of the other policies. If he's really going to do what he says, presumably he's going to stop insulation programmes that keep people's energy bills down and keep people's homes warm if he does what he says on climate change. So I think we'll hold him to account,
And should you be worried about the speedy rise of reform? After the local elections, the media certainly wants you to believe it's true. So I've put a bit more of a perspective onto it and not to believe so much of the hype in the video that's on screen now. So go check out that next. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.